Okay, Hare Krishna. Once again, welcome to our Wednesday evening class. We are discussing nectar of devotion. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinatarim Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Okay, Hare Krishna. So in Nectar of Devotion, we are discussing 64 limbs of Bhakti. Okay, so last two sessions, or actually last three sessions, we have been discussing this topic, 64 limbs of Bhakti, and it is covered under multiple chapters in Nectar of Devotion. So starting from chapter 6 in Nectar of Devotion till chapter 13. Okay, so this 64 different limbs of Bhakti, Bhakti ke 64 ang. So those are all described in detail along with their general definition and quoting different scriptures, some of the references for each particular item of bhakti. So last time we talked about namaparad. Okay, what are the different namaparads to be avoided, the 10 offenses to the holy name. And then we continued with the few other items. So today we'll continue where we left last time. So the last few items which we discussed were that one should decorate the body with tilak, okay, which is the sign of a Vaishnava. And while marking the tilak on the body, one can write Hare Krishna, Sri Radha, those kind of things. But it is not like permanent tattoos, right? One should not try to do those as permanent tattoos because uh, when we go to restroom, when we use the restroom, depending on where those names are written, so it could be actually offense to the holy name because holy name is not different from Krishna. And then we also discussed that one should accept the flowers and garlands which have been offered to the deities or to the spiritual master. Putting the garland on the body which has been first offered to the Lord, it can remove all the previous sinful reaction and it brings auspiciousness. And also we talked about one should learn to dance before the deity. One should clap in the kirtan. Okay? Because when we are dancing before the deities, it's for the pleasure of the deities. So basically, the deities are the audience and we are performing for them. So for the pleasure of the deities, one should learn to dance or clap the hands in the kirtan. So these are the some points we discussed last time. So far we have covered total 24 items out of 64. Okay, and one of them was offenses in deity worship, offenses towards the deity, offenses towards the holy name. So that one particular item among the 64 limbs of bhakti, that itself is very vast. Basically, there are so many points within that one limb of bhakti. So now moving forward, the next point is one should learn to bow down immediately upon seeing the deity or the spiritual master. Okay, so this is very important point. One should learn to bow down immediately upon seeing the deity. So basically, as soon as we enter the temple, as soon as you enter the temple room, that's why at the door of the temple itself, we bow down. Okay, we pay obeisances. So bowing down before the deity as soon as you see them, or the spiritual master. So basically, generally the principle is, when we meet the Vaishnavas, when we see any sannyasi, when we see the spiritual master, we should pay obeisances. If you are at some program and you see some sannyasi walking down, so we should pay obeisances. Okay. And as soon as one visit a temple of Lord Krishna, one must stand up. So if we are um, sitting in a car or sitting in some other things, if somebody is sitting in a palanquin, those kind of things, so as soon as we visit the temple of the Lord, we should immediately stand up. Or even if um, so that is basically next point. So when the deity is taken for a stroll in the street, or if a um, procession is going on for the deities, so the devotee should immediately um, stand up seeing the deity. Okay, and one should not just stand up, or one should not simply just pay obeisances, then one should also follow the procession. Okay, so if we are standing on a street and there is a procession going on, let's say Rath Yatra, right? The Rath Yatra parade is going on. So as soon as we see the deity, we should pay obeisances. We should kind of greet the deities, and not simply just paying obeisances. We should try to follow the procession also. So here it is written in the book that in this connection, it may be noted that in India, especially in Vishnu temple, the system is generally we have the main deities, okay, the kind of full size Archa Vigraha, but along with that Archa Vigraha, there is festival deities, okay, Utsav Vigraha. So generally those Utsav Vigraha, the smaller deities, they are carried in a palanquin for kind of as a procession in the evening, or in some special occasions also, some festival times. So those processions are held where somebody is carrying the deities in a small carrier which is held on the head, and there is umbrella on the deities, and people are playing kartals, mridangas, and with a procession of kirtan, everybody is following, and then people who are in the neighborhood, they get to see the deities. So the main point on this procession is basically the Lord comes out of the temple to give darshan to other people who may not generally come to temples to take darshan of the Lord. So the Lord is coming out to give his audience, give his darshan to the people. So one should pay obeisances, seeing the deities. One should follow the procession. And the next point is the deities, or sorry, not the deities, the devotees must visit a Vishnu temple at least once or twice every day, morning and evening. So one should always or daily try to visit Vishnu temple. So if we go to Vrindavan or any other holy places, there is this custom still followed, right? This tradition still followed, that devotees in the town, they go every morning and evening to visit different temples, or at the time of particular aratis, like morning Shringar Darshan, or 12 o'clock noon arati, or the evening Sandhya arati. So devotees visit temple to take darshan of the Lord and to attend these aratis. So I have also noticed this in Vrindavan also, when you visit some temple, all of a sudden at the time of arati, let's say 12 o'clock arati at the noon, okay, so many people in the neighborhood, they will come to just take darshan and to attend the arati. So that is how a devotee should do, visit the temple daily to take darshan of the Lord, to attend arati. Now, it may not be possible to visit all the temples, right? In Vrindavan, there are 5,000 temples. So, of course, we cannot visit all the temples, but at least whatever some important temples are there, one should try to visit those temples. Now, in our case, visiting temple on everyday basis may not be feasible, because earlier the system was there is temple in every nook and corner. Okay, on every street there is a temple practically. But now that facility is not there. We do not have temple in every nook and corner, especially like the big cities. Now here, living in Western world, we have temples which are 30 miles away, okay, 20 miles away. So may not be feasible to visit the temple every day. That's why Prabhupada made this system of Sunday love feast. You cannot visit temple every day, but at least once a week, okay, try to visit the temple, try to take darshan of the Lord, um, and render some service. But at least we can try to have the environment of temple at home, okay, where we have one particular corner for the Lord in the house, where the Lord is worshipped either in the form of Archa Vigraha. If not Archa Vigraha, at least the picture of the Lord is there. So we can take darshan, we can offer arati, we can offer bhoga. So principle is one must visit Vishnu temple every day and take darshan of the Lord. And as we visit the temple, so the next limb becomes one must circumambulate the temple building at least 3 times. Now, again, that depends on the structure of the temple. Okay, so generally in India, every temple is built in such a way that we can go around the temple to do pradakshina. Okay, so doing the pradakshina 3 times or 4 times. So that is generally considered as when we go to the temple, one should circumambulate the temple. Some devotees go around the temple more than 3 times, 4 times. They may go 10 times, 15 times, according to a particular vow they have taken. And the Goswamis in Vrindavan, they used to circumambulate Govardhan Hill. Sanatan Goswami will go for parikrama of Govardhan Hill every day, which is like takes 7-8 hours to do that one pradakshina. And some devotees, they do on a everyday basis the whole Vrindavan parikrama. Okay, so there is a parikrama marg around Vrindavan. So some devotees, they go for Vrindavan parikrama every day. So the point is one should circumambulate the temple of the Lord. Now in Vrindavan, there are so many temples. They also have parikrama marg. If you go to Radha Damodar temple, so in Radha Damodar temple, there is parikrama marg around the temple. Okay? And all the great acharyas, the previous acharyas in our history 500 years ago, so many samadhis are there along that parikrama marg. So while doing the parikrama, devotees can take darshan of the samadhis of these great acharyas, the Goswamis. And then if you visit Radha Shyam Sundar temple in Vrindavan, that also there is a board that one should do parikrama. If somebody does the parikrama 4 times of this temple, it is equal to doing Govardhan parikrama. Okay, so like that, there is a system that one should do circumambulation of the temple. And why this circumambulation of the temple is so important? It says in the scripture that when somebody circumambulate the temple of the Lord, he is freed from circumambulation in this material world in birth, death, old age, and disease. Otherwise, we are going through this circumambulation, okay, of this birth, death, old age, disease. So Janam Mrityu Jara Vyadhi, we are circling around that. So rather than circumambulating this birth, death, old age, disease, if somebody can do the circumambulation of the temple, one is freed from bondage of this circumambulation. So that's why it is so important to circumambulate the temple when we visit the holy places. And in general also, in our some of our temples, that particular system is not there, where Pradakshina Marg is there, we can do parikrama of the temple. But wherever it's feasible, wherever it's possible, one should take that opportunity. And the next point is one must worship the deity in the temple according to the regulative principle. Basically offering arati, offering bhoga, decorating the deities, and these things must be observed regularly. So one must worship the deity in the temple according to the regulative principle. So if you see in our ISKCON temples, okay, there is deity dressing done every day in the morning. Okay, there is a Shingar Arati, Shingar Darshan done every morning. The deities are offered dress. Then every evening they are offered Shayan uh, dress. So this is done every day, offering them new dress, offering them 6 aratis, bhoga. So that should be done in the temple because the deities is installed, and this is the house of the deities. Basically, everything belongs to the deity. Not like that there is deity in the temple and the dress is changed every festival time only. Okay, and they are offered the same dress. They are standing there, and maybe once a day some simple offering of fruits or something is done. No, the whole system should be revolving around the deities. The deities are the owner of that house, owner of that facility. Everything is for the deities. So offering the fresh clothes, offering arati, offering bhoga, so those should be done on regular basis as per the regulative principle of scriptures. And one must render personal service to the deities. Okay, so that's why Srila Prabhupada started this principle that we should have some personal service to the deities on a regular basis, on a weekly basis. So once a week at least, there should be some personal service to the deities, either in terms of cooking for the deities, making garland for the deities, offering arati to the deities. So some service should be there for the deities. And one must sing. Now, the next few things are actually all related to this. One must sing. So one must sing for the pleasure of the deities. Okay, it's not that one has to be a professional singer to sing for the deities. It is just offering of um, our voice to the Lord in His service. So one must sing, even though somebody may be a bathroom singer, right? Somebody is not as a good singer, but everybody can still sing. We should remember this is for the pleasure of the Lord. This is not for me to gain some name and fame. I am just singing to satisfy the Lord, to please the Lord. So one can sing while doing some activities, while cooking, while cleaning. One can sing, or one can dedicatedly sit in front of the Lord with musical instrument, with the harmonium, mridanga, and one can sing for the Lord. And the next one is one must perform Sankirtan. Okay, so the difference between one must sing or one must perform Sankirtan. Singing is one's self kind of as a offering to the Lord, singing only for the Lord. Uh, one is offering their heartfelt prayers to the Lord in that way. And Sankirtan is in the association of devotees as a congregational chanting. So one must perform Sankirtan along with the devotees. And then one must chant. Okay. So Japa and Kirtan, these are two different things which both are important. Japa is also important. Kirtan is also important. Japa is basically your silent chanting of the holy name. Okay. Which is we are chanting for, which we can hear ourselves. Kirtan is which other living entities can also hear and they can also get the benefit. That's why in our movement, devotees go outside also on Sankirtan. Okay. And in India, there is a system called Nagar Sankirtan. Nagar Sankirtan means this is a procession going out on the streets where the devotees are singing the holy name. So anybody and everybody who hear the kirtan, they also get benefited. So one must chant, one must perform Sankirtan. Both are important. Japa is also important and Kirtan is also important. One should not think, oh, I will just do my Japa. I don't want to participate in Kirtan. Both are important. Rupa Goswami is writing here that one must perform Sankirtan, one must do one's Japa. And then the next two are one must offer prayers, and the next one is one must recite notable prayers. Now, what is the difference in that? One must offer prayer and one must recite notable prayers. Anybody can tell the difference between the two?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Notable prayers would be maybe some verses from the Bhagavad Gita or from the Bhagavatam. And a prayer would be like a personal, what we glorify the Lord and praise the Lord in our own words from our bhav, like our mind.
Yes, yeah, very good. So yes, that is exactly what is the difference between offering prayers and offering notable prayers. So offering prayers is your own, you're expressing your emotions to the Lord. You can be speaking to the Lord in terms of glorification of the Lord, in terms of showing your gratitude to the Lord, or even request for something in terms of to relieve you from some trouble, some misery or something. So that is your heartfelt offering to the Lord prayer. Not reciting notable prayer means there are so many wonderful prayers listed in the scriptures, prayers offered by the wonderful devotees. Okay, so in Srimad Bhagavatam, we know there are so many wonderful prayers, prayers of Kunti Maharani, prayers of Bhishma Pitama, prayers of Prahlad Maharaj, prayers of Dhruva Maharaj, prayers of the gopis. So like that, there are so many wonderful prayers. So one should recite those prayers. That is offering the notable prayers. And then the next one is one must taste Mahaprasad. So one must taste Mahaprasad. Mahaprasad is when the bhoga is offered to the Lord, and after that the Lord has accepted that bhoga and we take that offering back, that has turned into Mahaprasad. Okay, so one must take that Mahaprasad, and when that Mahaprasad is offered to Guru, to the spiritual master, then it becomes Mahaprasad. So basically, one should take Mahaprasad and the remnants of the great Vaishnavas, the spiritual master. Because when we accept the Mahaprasad, that relieves us from previous sinful reaction, and it gives us spiritual consciousness. It gives us higher intelligence. Okay, so the prayer which we offer before honoring Mahaprasad, what do we say? Sharira avidya jal, jadendriya tahekal. So this body is the network of um, ignorance, and all these senses are leading us to hell. And when we take this Mahaprasad, Sharira avidya jal, anybody want to recite that prayer? Hopefully everybody knows the prayer, right? Mahaprasadam prayer when we which we recite. Sharira avidya jal, jadendriyata hekal, tare
जीव
madh.
जीवे फेले विषय सागरे तार मध्ये जीवाती लोभोमय सुदुर्मती ताके जेता कठिन संसारे कृष्ण बडो दयामय करिवारे जीवा जय स्वप्रसाद अन्न दिलो भाई से अन्नामृत पाओ श्री राधा कृष्ण गुण गाओ प्रेमी डाको चैतन्य ताई जय निताई
Okay, thank you.
जय
So basically, this prayer is by accepting this Mahaprasad. Krishna is very mercifully has given this Mahaprasad. By honoring this Mahaprasad, we are freed from this network of ignorance. And by accepting that Mahaprasad, what happens is the finer tissue in the memory develop. Okay, and we can understand Krishna by accepting this Mahaprasad. So that is why one of the limb of bhakti is one must taste Mahaprasad, and then one must drink Charanamrit. Okay, that is the next point. One must drink Charanamrit. So what is Charanamrit? Charna Amrit, basically the water which has bathed the feet of the deity. So in the morning when they bathe the deities, the water is collected, and that is Charanamrit. And along with the Charnamrit, then we have a Panchamrit also, right? One is just water by washing the feet of the deities. And also there is Panchamrit, which is prepared, which is offered to the deities, which is basically ghee, yogurt, honey, milk, and I think a little bit sugar. So these ingredients, they are called as panchamrit. So one should drink this charanamrit and one should take this panchamrit which is offered to the Lord. And one must smell the incense and flowers offered to the deities. And one must touch the lotus feet of the deities. Now, touching the lotus feet of the deities is basically, it's not that everybody can go on the altar and touch the feet of the deity or touch the deities in general. But touching the lotus feet of the deity is basically when we are paying obeisances in front of the deities. The both hands are stretched up in the front. Okay, and that is as a gesture of that with the both stretched hands you are touching the feet of the deity. So for a brahmana or brahman initiated devotees who are eligible to go on the altar to personally serve the deities, so we take that opportunity to touch the lotus feet of the deity. So after we are done with our service or offering bhoga or offering arati, so touching the shoes of the Lord or touching the directly feet of the Lord. So one must touch the feet of the Lord. And one must see the deity with great devotion. So when we visit the temple, we should take darshan of the Lord with great devotion. And one must see the deity, right? It says, when you are in front of the Lord, one should open the eyes and see the Lord. Not that one is standing in front of the Lord and closing the eye and offering prayers. That is not the principle actually. Principle is when you're standing in front of the Lord, you should look at the Lord. You should see the Lord. Try to kind of capture that image, the beauty of the Lord in your eye, through your eyes into your heart, so that later you can meditate on that form of the Lord. Not that you are standing in front of the Lord with closed eyes. Closed eyes is later, once you have already kind of captured that beautiful form of the Lord in your heart, then you can meditate on that form with your closed eyes also. But when we are standing in front of the Lord, one should look at the Lord and see the beautiful form of the Lord. The next one must offer arati at different times. So it was covered under previous point also when we say one should serve the deities, offering bhoga and arati with as per the regulative principle. So one must offer arati at different times. So at home, we offer at least one arati a day, right? You should offer at least once a day arati to the Lord. If you have deities, or if not deities, you have the pictures of the deity at home. Okay, so we must offer at least once a day arati to the Lord. Either it could be in the morning or it could be in the evening. Some devotees offer both times, morning and evening. So at home, at least we should offer once a day arati, and then offer bhoga to the Lord whenever and whatever you are cooking at home. Okay, if you're cooking something for breakfast, first offer it to the Lord. If you're cooking something for lunch, first offer to the Lord. You are cooking something for dinner, first offer to the Lord. In the temple, of course, we offer 6 aratis, right? In our temples, there is a system of offering 6 aratis at different times, starting from Mangala Arati till Shayana Arati. So one must offer arati at different times. And then the next one is one must hear about the Lord and his pastime from Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and similar books. Now, this particular point, one must hear from Srimad Bhagavatam. This will come at least 2 or 3 times in different way among these 64 principles. So here it says one must hear about the Lord and his pastimes from various scriptures. Okay, so the main point is basically hearing the glories of the Lord. Now this point about hearing the glories of the Lord also will come again. But the point is one must hear about the Lord and his activities from authorized scriptures, such as Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and other Vaishnava literature. One should not just try to hear one's own concoctions, or somebody has written something as fiction stories. So one should not hear one, but one should try to listen from authorized scriptures, because there are so many stories floating around which are just like as a folk tales. Okay, there is no authenticity of some of these stories. They are just floating around. So one should not just accept anything and everything, but one should hear from the authorized scriptures, and one must pray to the deity for his mercy. Okay, now these are next few points I think we should discuss carefully and with the very systematic details based on the scriptures. One must pray to the Lord for his mercy. Okay, so this point now, actually this all is in chapter 10 of Nectar of Devotion. Nectar of Devotion chapter 10 talk about 4 points out of these 64, starting from that one should hear about the Supreme Lord based on various scriptures. I'm just trying to open. So the chapter 10 is titled as Techniques of Hearing and Remembering. So the first point was hearing, that one should hear about Krishna, and that is basically Shravanam, right? The Shravanam is the first limb of Navada Bhakti. So that is why we have so much emphasis on hearing. And in Kali Yuga, especially, hearing is so important for our progress in Krishna consciousness. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also has given so much importance on hearing. Why? Because by hearing about Krishna, by hearing Krishna Katha, it cleanses our heart from all the previous contamination. And slowly, then Krishna, he becomes fixed in our heart. Sadhyo avarudhyate. So Krishna becomes fixed in the heart, and then we are able to understand this Krishna consciousness. In Garuda Purana also, there is a stress on hearing. Okay, because it says that our material life, our conditioned life in this world is similar to a man which is lying unconscious after being bitten by a snake. When a person is bitten by a snake, it's not that immediately the person dies. He may go into unconscious state, and that person can be revived by some mantras also. Says that in the effect of snake bite, the poison of the snake bite can be cured by chanting of some mantras. So same way, right now in our conditioned state, we are in a sleeping state. We are ignorant of our real identity, of our real duty, our relationship with the Supreme Lord. So this materialistic life is equal to being bitten by a snake. And what is that snake? The snake of Maya, the snake of illusion. Because without Krishna consciousness, under the influence of Maya, we are almost dead. Now, as a dead man which is bitten by a snake can be brought back to life by chanting of some mantra, same way, a materialistic person, a conditioned living entity who is in a sleeping state for his real identity can be awakened to his real state of Krishna consciousness by the process of hearing. Okay? So by the process of hearing, this influence of the poisonous biting by the snake of Maya can be removed. There are so many references like that in scriptures. So here Prabhupada is quoting the Srimad Bhagavatam 4th canto, 29th chapter, verse 40, where Shukdev Goswami is telling to Parikshit Maharaj that one should always stay at a place where the great acharyas, the great Vaishnavas, they are speaking the glories of the Lord. and one should hear those glories of the Lord, which are like the nectarian river flowing from the moon-like faces of such great personalities. By hearing this, what happens is one is freed from all material hunger, thirst, fear, and lamentation, as well as the illusion of material existence. So that is the power of hearing. The ultimately one is freed from the illusion of material existence. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu specifically, he says this process of hearing, that is the best means of self-realization in this age of Kali. Okay, the hearing of Krishna's glories, hearing of Krishna's holy name. So that is the best process of self-realization in Kali Yuga. And the next point is expecting the mercy of the Lord. So one should always pray to receive the mercy of the Lord. What does that mean? Whatever the situation may be in life, even if there is some misery in life or one is in a happy state, in all situation, one should seek out the mercy of the Lord. And one of the very beautiful verses in Srimad Bhagavatam, which I have mentioned earlier in some previous classes, that one of my favorite verses in Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 14th chapter, there is a verse which is prayer spoken by Brahmaji. Okay, Brahmaji is speaking to the Lord that, my dear Lord, any person who is constantly waiting your causeless mercy to be bestowed upon him, while all the way suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds, and offering you respect by his heart, words, mind, he is surely eligible to become liberated, because that has become his rightful claim. So the verse is Tatte anukampa susumikshamano bhunjan evatmakritam vipakam hritvak vapurabhir vidhan namaste jive jumuktipade sadaya bhak. So it's a very beautiful verse. Actually, we should learn this verse. We should recite this verse on regular basis. So tatte anukampa susumikshamano. So one who is eagerly waiting for your causeless mercy. Bhunjan evatmakritam vipakam. All the way while suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds. So whatever is the situation of the life, one should think, this is happening with me because of my own some previous karma, and with the mercy of the Lord, my previous karma is being exhausted right now, and he is able to tolerate all such situations of life while hridvak vapurabhir vidhan namaste, while paying obeisances to the Lord from the core of his heart with his hridvak vapurabhir. So from his heart, with the words, with his body, paying obeisances to the Lord. Jivet jo mukti pade sadaya bhag. He is surely eligible to become liberated because it has become his rightful claim, daya bhag. So it's a very beautiful verse. Whatever the situation may be in life, one must think, oh, this is my previous karmic reaction. I'm just exhausting it, and Krishna has mercifully arranged that situation in my life so that I can be freed from my previous bank balance of karma. And let me just depend on Krishna and just wait for Krishna's causeless mercy upon me. So Brahmaji says, such person who is always just seeking out mercy of Krishna, waiting for the mercy of Krishna, he is definitely eligible to become liberated in this lifetime. That has become his rightful claim. Just like son, son is the rightful has the rightful claim on the property of the father, right? The son is serving the father, and by default, all the property of the father goes to the child. So he is the rightful claim of the property of the father. So same way, the living entity who is undergoing the resultant reaction of his past misdeeds while completely dependent on Krishna, being dependent on Krishna and waiting for Krishna's mercy. So that person also has the rightful claim on the kingdom of the Lord. So it's written here, this statement of Srimad Bhagavatam should be a guide for all the devotees. A devotee should not expect immediate relief from the reaction of his past misdeeds. No conditioned soul is free from such reactionary experiences because material existence means continued suffering or enjoying of the past activities. So, whatever the situation of life may be, if somebody is happy right now in the life, one should think, I'm exhausting my past good karma. And if somebody is suffering in life, one should think, I'm exhausting past bad karma. So right now, whatever the situation is, I am just exhausting my previous karma, good or bad. But what I do right now, right, how I'm dealing with the situations right now, that will determine my future. So because what I do right now is going to decide my future or build my future. So one should not get stuck up with the current situation, but continue to act in proper way to build the future. So as it said, the material existence means continued suffering or enjoyment if based on the past activities. Now, what is our definition of being happy? What do we consider as being happy? Anybody?
No miseries, free from miseries.
Okay, being freed from miseries, right? That is our definition of being happy. Actually, that is the wrong definition which we have accepted because everybody is so miserable, and when there is no misery, person thinks I'm very happy. When you ask somebody, how are you doing? Generally, people will tell, I'm doing all right, right? I'm doing okay. Actually, in some part of the world, their culture of responding to this question is, how are you doing? Some people will say, not too bad. Okay, so not too bad. So I'm doing all right. I'm not too bad. So our definition of happiness is when I have little suffering. Okay, then we think, oh, I am happy. Or if somebody thinks I have no suffering right now, so I'm happy. It's basically coming from the negative scale to zero, right? Being free from misery. But we have not gone to the positive side yet to experience what is real happiness. So just being coming to the 0 point itself, we think, oh, now I'm happy. So that's why here Prabhupada is saying, in this material world, the material existence means continuous suffering. And if one has finished his material activities, then there is no more birth. And that is possible only when one begins Krishna conscious activities. Because when we are engaged in Krishna conscious activities, those activities do not produce any reaction. Right? Those activities are considered as a karma. Okay? We are doing the activities, but those activities are not generating the reaction. So that's why as soon as somebody becomes perfect in their Krishna conscious activities, means he's not going to take birth again in this material world. So right now, whatever our situation may be, either it's a miserable situation or a situation of happiness, one should remember, I'm just exhausting my previous bank balance of karma, and I should just constantly depend on Krishna's mercy, seek out Krishna's mercy. And in that way, here it says that person becomes eligible to enter into the kingdom of God. So that is the meaning of daya bhag. The next point is remembrance. One should always remember. One should remember the Lord. One should remember the deity. So one should remember the Lord. What is the meaning of remembrance? So actually the next 2 points, one point is one should remember the Lord. The next point is one should meditate upon the Lord. What is the difference in remembrance and meditation? Anybody has any idea? What is the difference between remembrance and meditation? Both sound similar, isn't it?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, meditation is when like we are thinking of something about the Hari Katha which we heard, or about the pastimes of the Lord, when we are deeply contemplating on that. And remembering is when we are remembering Krishna by chanting.
Okay. It's all right. Yeah, it's close. Anybody
If
else
someone
want
can
to
add
take a?
more.
Maybe remembering is like whatever we do, like at any time, Krishna is always in our, I mean, like he's, I mean, we'll be doing something, but we will still be like thinking about Krishna. Meditating is just like fully focusing on Krishna's name, form, or pastimes. I mean, like completely on that and nothing else.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's also pretty accurate. So remembrance means, remembrance is kind of as a remembering our relationship with Krishna. So having the remembrance of Krishna, that our principle is always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna, right? So what does that remembrance mean? When we keep in our mind our awareness of a relationship with Krishna, that okay, I am the eternal servant of Krishna. So remembering Krishna doing while doing all our activities. And it could be also relating with the previous point, which was always seeking out the mercy of the Lord. So one can remember from his past memories any situations where one has received the grace of Krishna, right? Or any difficult situation when he was saved by the grace of Krishna, or Krishna showed some favor to us. So, remembering certain occasions where Krishna has helped us either in our situation of misery or just showering his grace upon us. So, that is remembrance. Okay, remembering our relationship with the Lord. Meditation. So, basically, two words used is smaran or dhyan. Okay, so remembrance means स्मरण. तो भगवान का स्मरण होना कि Krishna is so merciful to me, Krishna is so kind to me, how Krishna saved me in this situation, how Krishna helped me in that situation, and remembering our relationship with Krishna. That is remembrance. Meditation, dhyana. Dhyana means going deeper into that remembrance. And in the category of dhyana, Rupa Goswami says the dhyan can be in 4 subcategories. Okay. The first one is Rupa Dhyan, meditating on the form of the Lord. So where we are meditating, let's say we have taken darshan of the Lord in temple, okay, taken darshan of the deities, and now you are meditating on the roop, the form of the Lord, how the Lord looks like today, what kind of dress the deities are wearing, what kind of ornaments the deities are wearing. So from the feet to the beautiful face of the Lord, meditating on the form of the Lord. That is Rupa Dhyan. Then the next one is um, Guna Dhyan. Okay, meditating on the qualities of the Lord. So there are 64 qualities of Krishna. भगवान के 64 गुण. So kind of meditating on the qualities of the Lord. Quality of Karuna Sindhu. Krishna is so merciful. He is a ocean of mercy. Okay, so Krishna is so compassionate. He takes care of his devotees. Let's say Lord Ram in Ramayana, he declares, right? Even if somebody comes to me and declare once, my dear Lord, I am yours now. If with heart, from the core of his heart, somebody claims, my dear Lord, I am now yours, Lord says, I take charge of that devotee. Okay? So that is the quality of the Lord of being compassionate towards the living entity. So like that, meditating on the qualities of the Lord, that is guna dhyan. Then the next category of dhyan is krida dhyan, or we say lila dhyan. Okay, so meditating on the activities of the Lord. So that's where we say when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, after hearing, after reading, trying to contemplate on that activity of the Lord, right? That is meditating on the activities of the Lord. For example, in Kartik month, okay, Damodar Leela, every day we are singing Damodar Ashtakam. And what is that? Basically, we are meditating on that particular Leela of the Lord, that particular activity, that particular pastime. So that is meditation on the activities of the Lord, Krida Dhyan. And then the fourth category of meditation, Rupa Goswami writes, is meditating on the service, okay, Seva Dhyan, meditating on our particular service to the Lord. Somebody is meditating on, okay, I'm going to cook this particular bhoga for the Lord today. Or somebody is meditating on, okay, today I'm going to dress my Thakurji in this particular dress with these particular ornaments. So kind of meditating in the mind on the particular service. That is Seva Dhyan. So Rupa Goswami writes particularly these four particular type of dhyan. And of course, we know there is meditation on the holy name, the chanting of the holy name. That is Nam Dhyan. Okay, so that's why we say Nam, Roop, Gun, Leela, Ityadi. So, etc. One should meditate on these different aspects of the Lord. So that is meditation when we go deeper and deeper into the remembrance of the Lord in one particular category. There is a beautiful story also which is quoted in this chapter, the story of a Brahmana in South India in one particular village. This Brahmana is a poor Brahmana. He is very content, right? He is very satisfied with his situation of life. He goes to hear Harikatha. In that Harikatha, he hears about the power of meditation, that even if somebody does not have anything, they can render service to the Lord in their dhyana also, and Lord accept that service also. And this point touched this Brahmana, that even though I do not have any resources to serve the Lord, but I can serve the Lord in dhyana also. And Lord is so magnanimous, He is so merciful that He accepts the offerings in the done in meditation in dhyana also. So he start this practice. Basically, he goes in the morning to take his bath in the river. After taking bath, he sits down at the bank of the river in the meditation. And in the meditation, starts meditating that I have this beautiful Archa Vigraha of the Lord, and I'm giving bath to the Lord. I'm putting the sandalwood paste on the Archa Vigraha. I'm decorating the Lord with nice clothes and nice ornaments. And now I'm preparing nice offerings, bhoga, to offer to the Lord. So he's doing all this service in his meditation. He is very poor. He does not have any resources. In his meditation, he's thinking, I have the gold pot and silver pot. I'm bringing the water from all the different holy rivers, Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, Narmada, Sindhu, Kaveri. So I'm bringing the water of all the holy rivers in this gold pot and silver pot to offer abhishek to the Lord. So he does the abhishek of the Lord in his meditation, offering nice clothes, ornaments, and now cooking for the Lord. And on one such occasion, in his meditation, he is preparing the sweet rice. Okay. And after he has prepared the sweet rice, he want to offer to the Lord. He thinks this sweet rice may be too hot. I have just cooked it. And generally the sweet rice should be made cool. It should get cold, and then cold offering is much better. It tastes much better. So he wants to touch that preparation to see if it is now okay temperature or if it is too hot. And as he touches his finger in that, he shouts out because he has a sensation of too much hot. His eyes, he opens his eye, he comes out of meditation and look at the finger. The finger is actually burnt. Okay, even though he was doing all these activities in his meditation, but he was so deeply involved in that as if it is really happening, and he really has that sense of burning on the finger. And the Lord sitting in Vaikuntha, he is also observing all these activities, and Lord just smiles. And Lakshmi Devi is sitting there and massaging the feet of the Lord. And Lakshmi Devi asked Lord Vishnu, what is the reason of your smile? Why all of a sudden you started smiling? So Lord, rather than answering, he immediately sends his Vaikuntha plane to bring this Brahmana to Vaikuntha. So this Brahmana is brought to Vaikuntha, and then Lord tells what has happened, how this Brahmana has been serving in his meditation, in his dhyan. And Lord has become pleased. Why? Because Lord is present in our heart also. If we are serving the Lord within our heart also in our meditation, the Lord accepts that offering also. So that is why when we are personally doing some service, we should definitely be completely present at that time, present in our service. Not that we are doing service but thinking of something else. We may be physically doing service but thinking something else, then Lord does not accept, right? Because our consciousness, our mind is somewhere else. But even though you are doing just service in the meditation, Lord accepts that also. So that is why it's so important. um, and one of the limb of bhakti is one must meditate upon the Lord in different aspect, as Rupa dhyan, Guna dhyan, Krida dhyan, and Seva dhyan. Okay, so I think we'll stop here today. We covered up to 46. So there are 18 more to make it total 64. So in the next session, I think we'll try to cover the remaining ones. So these 64 limbs of bhakti, if we understand one by one all these different activities, somehow some of these activities are interlinked, connected also. Like we discussed today, one should sing for the Lord, one should chant the holy name, one should participate in Sankirtan. One may think these are very similar, but there are differences. Both chanting and Kirtan are important. Okay. Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai.
Okay.
Anybody has any questions, comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandot Pranam Prabhuji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Mataji.
Prabhuji, I was reading chapter 8. There were a few points. Just wanted to clarify on that. One point is one should not enter the temple wearing garments of red and blue color which are unwashed. Unwashed I could understand, but about the color I didn't get, Prabhuji. Red and blue.
Yeah, I also don't know exactly that particular thing. Yes, it says one should not enter the temple wearing red and blue, which is unwashed, you said. So basically, it depends on the type of cloth. Generally, there are some cloth which has been dyed, and there is what you call some starch there in the cloth. So one should wash the cloth before first use, and then use that cloth. So it is in reference to that particular thing, I believe, that one should not just wear those clothes to enter in front of the Lord, but one should wash these clothes and then use those.
Okay. After wash we can use.
Yeah, and that is my understanding, and I can try to get more clarification on that.
Okay, Prabhuji. Another point was one should not enter the deity room or touch the body of the deity after having smeared oil over his body. So, means if we apply oil all over the body or head only, then it's prohibited.
Basically, the point is it should, if there is oil on the body, on our hands, arms, which can touch the paraphernalia of the Lord, it will spoil those, right? The oil can spoil those. Even on the deities, if the oils can leave some kind of marks there. So that is why one should not enter or touch the deity after smearing oil.
Okay. It's not about the smell, strong smell of the oil or something
It's
like that.
not because of the smell, but because the oil can change sometime the color of the deity. There are some other decolorations or something happen. So that is the reason one should avoid entering the altar or touching the deities if somebody has taken oil massage or something.
Okay, it will leave the residue there. That's
Right.
why. Okay. And further, they had mentioned that we should start worshipping the demigod Ganesha. About this.
So yes, in Nectar of Devotion, Rupa Goswami is specifically writing that one should start the worship with the worship of Ganesha, because Ganesha is considered as the first worshipable, right? Pratham Aradhya. So even Rupa Goswami is mentioning that, and Srila Prabhupada, just to avoid any confusion, Srila Prabhupada did not give too much stress on this point that one should worship Ganeshji. Ganeshji is considered as Vighanharata. So to remove any obstacle in our service. And for that reason, Ganesh Puja is considered as first puja. But Srila Prabhupada gave the principle that, okay, even Lord Narsinghadev is able to remove all our obstacles in the path of bhakti. So devotees can take shelter of Narsinghadev instead. Again, the principle is to not get diverted with the philosophy that one can worship any other Devi Devatas and it's all equal, to just being very clear and focused on our principle of Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada did not give too much emphasis on that. But yes, there is no restriction that one should not worship Ganesh. One can chant the mantra of Ganesh. One can offer kind of every article to Ganesha if they have a Ganesha Vigraha on their altar, just as a token, basically, to take permission to pray to Ganeshji that please remove any obstacle in my service to the Lord. Okay, the way we do to spiritual master, the way we start Arati, how do we start? We offer it to Guru Parampara. Basically, we are taking their permission to offer that article to the Supreme Lord, right? Or we are requesting them to help us offer these articles to the Supreme Lord, be it incense, lamp, flower, so anything. So same way one can do it to Ganesh also. We are taking permission of Ganeshji or requesting Ganeshji to remove any obstacle in our service.
Yeah. Okay, Prabhuji. So just basically it's
What is
mentioned
the
as a
pranam
point.
mantra for Ganeshji? Anybody knows what is the pranam mantra for Ganeshji?
No, Prabhuji, nothing. Pranam mantra, I don't know. Prabhuji, we know just the prayer of Vakratunda Mahakaya.
Yeah, so that is what I'm referring to. So
Yeah,
generally
that is in the
there
pranam
is
mantra.
reciting in glorification of the Lord. You know what is the meaning of that?
Not really.
So Vakratunda Mahakaya.
This is what Ivy League University.
Samprabha.
It's the trunk is turned bent and offering the respects to Ganesha and to remove obstacles in all our work, whatever we do.
Right. So Vakratunda Mahakaya. So he has a giant body, Mahakaya, Vakratunda, which is bent. The what you call the tusk is bent. Surya Koti Samprabha. His effulgence is like crores of Surya. His Surya Koti Samprabha. Nirvigna Kuru me. Please remove all the obstacles. Nirvigna Kuru. Sarva Karyeshu Sarvada. So in my all the activities, please make them free from obstacle. So what are the activities we are referring to? My service to the Lord. So please make them free from obstacles. So that is basically as a prayer one can say to Ganeshji also before one starts serving to the Lord. So in that way, it is basically you are starting with serving Ganeshji or worshipping Ganeshji by offering this prayer.
Yes, okay, Prabhuji. Actually, here it was mentioned that one should begin the worship of demigod Ganpati. So that's what little confusing. Just wanted to clarify on that.
Yes, Mataji. I know it leads to confusion for the devotees because we have been hearing that one should not worship any Devi Devatas. Our worship is exclusive for the Supreme Lord, right? We just worship the Supreme Lord. There is no need to worship any Devi Devatas. But in Nectar of Devotion, Rupa Goswami also has specifically written that one should start the worship by worshipping Ganeshji. So how do we understand that? How we reconcile this point? So as I said, in general, principle is yes, one should worship or start the worship by worshipping Ganeshji. But Prabhupada did not put too much emphasis on that to avoid any confusions. Okay, so somebody who is now trying to direct his consciousness towards Krishna, again they may become diverted towards the worship of different Devi Devatas. So to avoid any confusion, Prabhupada did not give stress upon this point. But if somebody has a clear understanding that why we are worshipping Ganeshji or why I am worshipping Ganeshji, that is specifically to pray to Ganeshji to remove my obstacles or obstacles in my service to Krishna, then it is okay. I'm not worshipping Ganeshji for some material benefit. Okay.
Right, Prabhuji. The focus is maintained.
Right. So if that focus is clear, if that understanding is clear, then there is no restriction, no harm, no problem in worshipping Ganeshji. I have seen many devotees, they still keep the Vigraha of Ganeshji on the altar, Vigraha of Shiva, Lord Shiva also on the altar. And we can worship them if our understanding is very clear.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji, got it. Prabhuji, also one doubt, like while going through the book, there are many points they have, Rupa Goswami has picked up from Padma Purana, Baraha Purana, Gautami Tantra.
Yes.
So till now, I was understanding that whatever the deity worship standards we have those from the Narad Pancharatra. So are these points are same with the Narad Pancharatra? That's why he has picked mentioned in the Nectar of Devotion from Padma Purana or other scripture.
Right. So basically, in the beginning, we mentioned that Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. What is that? It's a summary of Hari Bhakti Vilas and the principles driven from the various Puranas. So Rupa Goswami is trying to present as a condensed summary of these principles from all these different scriptures, which are applicable for our practice of bhakti. So whatever principles are aligning towards directly devotional activities, Rupa Goswami is giving the quotations, the references from various Puranas. And those are in line with what is mentioned in the deity worship. It's not about just deity worship, right? Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, nectar of devotion, is not simply related to deity worship only. It is overall as bhakti, Krishna consciousness, Vaidhi bhakti, or Raganuga bhakti. So yes, deity worship is part of that, and the principles which are mentioned in Narad Panchratra related to deity worship, so those are also coming from there, as well as other Puranas also.
Yes, okay, Prabhuji. So, means, I was just got confused with these points. That we follow as a Gaudiya Vaishnava, we follow the Pancharatrik Vidhi. So this means that whichever points Rupa Goswami has mentioned from Padma Purana or Vara Purana, that
Those
is
are
in
in line
line
with
with Pancharatrik.
Pancharatrika Vidhi, yes.
Okay, Prabhuji. So they are the same, that's why he's mentioned. Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. Hare Krishna. I think we'll end it here. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining. Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Then with that.
Then
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.